ghost of a young woman leaving school after a traffic accident. The late afternoon sun, usually a cheerful cascade through the high-arched windows of Northwood High, now cast long skeletal shadows across the empty main corridor. A faint chill, not entirely attributable to the cooling autumn air, snaked along the polished linoleum. It was the kind of silence that pressed in, amplifying every creak of the old building, every distant hum of a malfunctioning fluorescent light. Miss Davies, a history teacher notorious for her diligent grading, was the last staff member left in her classroom on the second floor. A shiver, sharp and sudden, traced a path down her spine despite the thick wool of her cardigan. She paused, pen hovering over a student essay, and glanced towards the open door. Nothing, just the oppressive quiet. It had been exactly 1 week since Sarah Jenkins, a bright and quiet senior, had been hit, not in front of the school, but a block away, at the notorious junction of Elm and Maple. Witnesses had described a speeding black sedan, a screech of tires, and then nothing. The driver had never been found. Hit and run, the police called it, but the details remained hazy, frustratingly incomplete. As Miss Davies finally packed up, the school felt less like an empty building and more like a held breath. The normally bustling hallways, filled with lockers plastered with adolescent declarations and faded club flyers, were eerily pristine in the dim light. She heard a soft thump from the floor above, from the art room, perhaps. She told herself it was just the building settling. But then a gentle ping, like a single piano key pressed softly, echoed from the music wing on the 3rd floor. Miss Davies hesitated. She knew Mr. Henderson, the janitor, usually started his rounds on the 1st floor. Curious, and perhaps a little unsettled, she gripped her briefcase tighter and began to ascend the stairs. The door to the piano room was slightly ajar. Inside, a lone beam of moonlight pierced the gloom, illuminating a small, crumpled drawing on the floor beside the grand piano. It was a sketch, unfinished, of Northwood High's clock tower, drawn in Sarah Jenkins' distinctive, delicate style. Miss Davies felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Sarah had been an exceptional art student. A sudden drop in temperature made her breath visible. The air thickened, heavy with the scent of ozone and something floral like lilies. Then a whisper, so faint it might have been the wind, slithered past her ear. "Help me." Miss Davies' heart hammered against her ribs. She was alone. She had to be alone. She backed away slowly, clutching the drawing. Her mind raced, grasping for rational explanations. A draft, an echo, her own tired imagination working overtime. But the chill lingered, and the fragile voice resonated in her memory. It felt too real, too desperate to dismiss. Sarah Jenkins had been a popular, if somewhat reserved student, always seen with a sketchbook, always polite. But in the weeks leading up to the accident, Miss Davies recalled Sarah looking drawn, her usual spark dimmed. There had been whispers, too, of a secret admirer, or maybe a secret trouble. The next morning, Miss Davies found Mr. Henderson waxing the library floor, humming off-key. He was a gruff but good-hearted man, a fixture at Northwood for 30 years. She showed him the drawing, explaining her unnerving experience. Mr. Henderson grunted, wiping his brow with a greasy rag. "Ghosts, Miss Davies. Sounds like you need a holiday. Old buildings creak, and the imagination plays tricks. Poor Sarah. Tragic, that's all it was." He shrugged, dismissing her concerns with a wave of his hand. That evening, while Miss Davies was grading in her quiet classroom, the lights flickered violently. Papers on her desk rustled and scattered as if caught in an unseen gale. A small ceramic owl, a gift from a former student, toppled from her shelf and shattered at her feet. There was no draft, and then Sarah's faint scent of lilies filled the room. Shaken, Miss Davies knelt to clean up the shattered owl. Tucked beneath the broken pieces, almost hidden by a stray feather, was a small, crudely folded note. It wasn't in Sarah's elegant hand. The handwriting was jagged, frantic. "He knows. Don't tell." A soft, almost imperceptible drag mark appeared on her classroom whiteboard, forming a single wavering line pointing towards the window. Miss Davies looked out. Her gaze landed on the deserted staff parking lot, then drifted towards the dense patch of woods bordering the school grounds, an area usually off-limits. Ignoring the rising tide of fear, a newfound resolve hardened in Miss Davies. The ghost of Sarah wasn't asking for help. She was trying to show something. Clutching the mysterious note, Miss Davies grabbed her keys and headed for the back exit leading to the staff parking. The woods were darker than she expected, the path barely visible. Twigs snapped under her sensible shoes. She spotted a glint of metal deeper in the trees, hidden beneath a pile of dead leaves. Heart pounding, she knelt, brushing away the foliage to reveal a partially buried, scratched cell phone. It wasn't a recent model, but the screen glowed faintly as she picked it up. As Miss Davies held the phone, a new chill permeated the air, colder, more menacing than before. The screen flickered to life, showing a single recent photo, a grainy nighttime shot of the Northwood High clock tower, and in the foreground, partially obscured by shadow, a dark figure watching. And then a message popped up, unread, sent just hours before Sarah's accident. "I saw you. They know."